Okay, so yesterday we played a really cool Dimir Murktide list that Bloodbraid Elf on Twitter posted with like Ledger Shredders, Mishra's Baubles, a little more or a little less cheap interaction, a little more like go big interaction. So today we're playing like our list of Murktide to kind of see how they compare. Some of the key differences are again the lack of Ledger Shredder and Mishra's Bauble in my list. They included the third basic island, no Odawara, no Waterlogged Grove, went 17 lands with a hallowed fountain to enable engineered explosives a little easier. I'm instead going for the 19 lands. No Mishra's Bauble means like I need to hit land drops without a ton of redraws. I've also got a Brazen Borrower, a Force Negation, Dismember, the 4 Fatal Pushes instead of 1. No Inquisition of Kozilek. Got a couple Stubborn Denials. So my list is like a little more geared towards things like Living End, Rhinos, any sort of like combo deck, as well as more of the aggressive creature decks. So we're gonna see how this plays out. In the sideboard, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Spreading Seeds for like anything from Tron to Urza Saga decks, to any of the annoying 4-color mana bases. Hercule's Recall, mostly for Hammertime affinity. A third copy of Stubborn Denial, 1 Flusterstorm, 2 Turok, 2 Infernal Grasp for annoying creature decks, 1 Chalice of the Void, 2 Engineered Explosives, and a newly added Unlicensed Hearse. So let's jump in, see what happens. Get off my screen. Played a lot against Murktide Rakdos Scam. And Living in the last week. Slayline's pretty good in these matchups, but you're absolutely right. It isn't a good feeling to board out Drowning Lock. Yeah, like if you're not big on Drowning Lock, if that's not a card that you think is great in the current meta, then absolutely run Leyline of the Void. Like I know Freed Mania has talked about it being very, very good in the current meta. It just hasn't been something that I've been interested in because I value Drowning Lock really highly. And it doesn't deal 20. That's a big deal sometimes. It's true. But it's never dead. And even if you don't need it, you can at least cycle it. And that's true. Like, that's a fair point. But I'm preferring, like, that Brazen Borrower in the slot. Because if it's dead and I'm not bouncing something, I get like a 3-1 flash flyer that hits face. Let's see. Spire Down. Spy Ride. I have no idea what the name's supposed to be. 3 Stubborn main deck. What are you cutting for a 3rd Stubborn Denial? What's your reasoning behind wanting a 3rd Stubborn Denial in the main deck? Misty Pass. So, could be a Cascade deck. Could be a number of things. No Companion. Could be Murktide. What do you got? So, probably like creativity. Some sort of, I guess, zoo. Sure. Let's counterspell a Scion. Just looking for land drops. I don't want to go down below 11 if I can. not really worth it to just leave yourself dead to like a double tribal flames. If this is actually, this might just be like a Rhinos list, which is kind of what it's looking like here. Yeah, we'll just pass. Might be a situation where my opponent goes for like an outburst, and maybe I want to like Archmage's Charm, steal a Rhino, Fatal Push one or something. So it is Rhinos. No land drop, so I think I just want to draw two. Okay. So let's cast a Thoughtseize. See what our opponent's got going on. How many copies of Leyline Binding they're sitting on. Their hand is rough. So we're just going to play a Death Shadow and a big Murktide. 2, 3, 4, 5. And say go. I am presenting lethal on my next turn with a fetch and a shock. Shardless Agent's a pretty good top deck. I'll wait on until my turn, because if I draw like another Archmage's Charm, then I might want to if I drew another Archmage's Charm, then I might have wanted to like try to steal a Rhino, push instead of push the two Rhinos. So I can force the Force of Negation, but I think I'd rather like save it. What I mean by that is I can get like a lot of value by forcing whatever they draw on their turn. So I think I'm just going to attack and pass. Mainly because I can't kill them here. Yeah, I could push here. I don't think I really need to. I think I can wait and see what happens. I kind of want to incentivize them to like attack. Like such. So now block one, take one. See what our opponent decides to do. So on their end step, we will fetch. Water Grave is fine. Kill you. I don't really want to show them Force of Negation. So let's just push again. I don't think there's anything they can have here. But I get to hide the fact that I've got Force of Negation in my deck, which could be relevant, could not. Who knows? It's kind of free. We've got EE, we've got Chalice. Everything else is meh. Dress down's pretty bad. Brazen Borrower's okay. Board out a Murktide. It's really bad against like Leyline Binding to Fairy. Drown can be a little awkward against Endurance if they've got Endurance. Got a little bit of the spot removal since I'm bringing in Engineered Explosives. Just a couple Street Wraiths. Call it a day. All right. What do we got? Yeah. Hand's reasonable. Got some interaction. Got an EE. Lower our life total a little bit. Opponent also mulliganed. So. Counterspell's a good pickup. All I'm really looking for is like more decent interaction. Thought seizes would be good. Is this all? This is all 5 colors, right? I think I'm gonna fetch and shock here. Try to like incentivize them to maybe go for a violent outburst right here while I'm tapped off of drown and counterspell. Man, I'm good at this. The old bait and switch. Could have also just like untapped and played EE, but I don't like holding on to this EE. Yes. I'll just pass. Do we skip our turn? No. Not that I'm aware of. Got 3 lands, turn 3. Looks fine to me. Yeah, he did that on his instep with the fetch on the stack. We kind of gave him the old, you got it, bro. Well, I guess technically I did only have 1 land out for a minute. I don't need an island. Murktide is okay. Guess I'm just passing here. Maybe I want to play the EE, but I think this is kind of looking like a another outburst. Ice me. Sure. I've been iced. What have you got to follow up this ice? Attempt to fight over a Scion. Sure. Matt. Good draw there. So let's get down. Probably just Murktide here. 2, 3, 4, 5. It does like outgrow the Scion. Okay, good. That's how I wanted that exchange to go. I figured. Like, here to oblige. All right, IP, what you got? Teferi, the Fun Unraveler. Well, I don't want this to resolve. I think I would rather save Drown if possible, because Drown can also hit like a Fury. But really, I just don't want Teferi to resolve. But a land would be really cool. Or not a land, a counterspell. Counterspell. Ha 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 ha. Got it in time. I was afraid we weren't going to get the word in there, but we did. It's almost like you know me. It's almost like I've lived with you. EE on 12. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Smidge off. Let me double check. 1 for blue. 2 for black. 1 back to blue. But then 2 if we go black. The old Shardless Agent. I believe I'm going to let this resolve. And just save the counter spell. Like, I can't EE the Charlotte's agent anyway. So bye-bye Rhinos. Consider in case we find, like, yes. Counter agent EE Rhino. We could have, but I was kind of afraid of their last card just being like another mystical dispute. Which it still could be. But I kind of didn't want to put all my eggs into that one turn with an unknown card still. Probably playing too conservatively, but here we are. The real question is this just going to be a hard cast Fury? All right, so like now I'm fine. I let this resolve. I've got EE for this, counterspell for whatever their unknown card is. So I think this is like the benefit of playing a little conservatively is I spend one turn and then just like wrap up the game. Where maybe we would have had lethal last turn, but with an unknown, there's just like always that chance. I feel like I didn't need to take the chance there. Do I dare utter the phrase, no possible way they win from here? We EE, attack with Shadow and Murktide. They flash in Skylasher. We can't counter it. They block the Murktide. Take the Shadow. Untap. And find their one of stupid dinosaur, Carnage Tyrant, and then we're gummed up. Or they untap and find what's the 3-mana dude? Cool. Or no, I think he can be countered. The dude that's like a 3/3 with haste, or he gets a +1/+1 counter and like loses haste, but I'm pretty sure he can be countered. They untap and find their one of Niv Mizzet Payroon. Rule Spellbreaker, is that it? That sounds right. Misty Rainforest deck into Misty Rainforest deck. Back-to-back Rhinos. Okay. take one of these. Might have a little bit of a rough time here, but this looks more like traditional rhinos and not like 4-color rhinos. So that's a bit of a plus for us. To ferry into leyline binding. That could do it. I'm hearing a lot of reasons to hold that counter spell up. Alright, this time we are not going to... What are the odds that they just ripped, like, the blind, blind outburst off the top there. Pretty good. Are they, like, waiting until Footfalls comes off suspend to try to, like, double spell? Looks like what it is. Yeah, I think they're just trying to wait until the other Footfalls comes off suspend to try to fight through, like, 2 counter spells. All right, this might come down to stealing a Rhino. Dead and gone, shardless, unknown. Well, if you're going to tap me off of a counter anyway, then I guess I might as well stop your draw. So I guess I'll let this one resolve. So if they choose not to go for the shardless agent, then I can just, like, end of turn petty theft one of these, untap fatal push one, and have counterspell back up. British redeemed hydrate. Gotcha. I'm gonna have to fight over one of these. Let's go ahead and fire off and... I guess we're firing off counter spell. Could kill something with drown later. Dead and gone, brazen borrower, brazen borrower. What an annoying hand. No, 2 of us can play brazen borrowers. So it always counts Storm, or is that only when there's Storm card in the deck? I think it always counts it. But it might be only if there's a Storm card in the 75. I actually don't know. We do have a Fluster Storm in the board. All right, so their hand is Brazen Borrower, Dead and Gone. Brazen Borrower, Dead and Gone. So let's play Shadow. I think we're fighting over the borrower and letting the dead and gone resolve. Yes. Hold up Archmage's Charm through their turn. Just like draw 2 on their end step. Other footballs has been suspended. Okay. Here's a shadow. Go. And I believe a lot of this match is going to come down to this draw step for them. Like, if I get to make it through this turn, have Drown in the Lockup next turn, and go from there, I feel really, really ahead. Another footfalls. Okay. So I believe that means we more than likely win here. Here's a shadow. Matters not if you block. Here is a Murktide Regent. And I'm going to proceed to Drown in the Lock anything you put on the stack, including an Ulamog. Good luck. Godspeed, OP. Godspeed. Upkeep Ice Me. Another Brazen Borrower. Dead and Gone. Oh, yeah. Snake Eyes. JP coming in with the 11-month resub. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the subscribers. Thank you for your continued support. And enjoy the ongoing access to our sweet custom Death Shadow emotes. Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday. Made it just in time for match 2 of League 2. We lost our Game 3 trophy match with Jun Shadow, round 1. Our League 1. League 2 here. We played against Rhinos first round. We're playing against Rhinos again here second round. Been on a modern hiatus. I do not blame you there. So a lot of our cards get a lot better here because they're on just straight up Temur and not 4-color. So not having to worry about leyline bindings and stuff like that is pretty huge. Still board out a Wraith or board out a Murktide because I expect them to just like go crazy bouncing those things. But the rest of our list is pretty solid. Also, I feel like I have to mention it. There are still like 3 or 4 days left in September or September according to Twitch. And I think subs are like 25% off or something. So if you have a channel out there that you really enjoy, a game you enjoy watching, whatever, then this is a good month to sub for a discounted price. We also have, I don't know if I put it in the stream title or not. Yeah, exclamation ticks for sub. If you're like me and you play a bunch of Magic Online and you're interested in subbing to a channel, then ticks for sub is an option that you have here to essentially trade ticks for a gifted sub from the channel, so you don't have to like go out and spend actual money if you just have chests laying around that you haven't opened, or you just like 4-1 to league and you want to trade some in. Matt, thank you so much for the sub as well. Thank you for the continued support. And here's a show of custom Death Shadow emotes for you. Stub Timber. Oh, that's way better, actually. Stub Timber. Oh, we're going to have to remember that one. And the 1 year badge. Nice. Yeah, we'll roll with this. Opponent's on a mulligan. We've got a bunch of good magic cards. Let's do it. I'm just going to go ahead and Thoughtseize. Oh, and JP gifting a sub to First Tribute. The First Tribute, welcome to the subscribers. Enjoy access to the sweet custom Death Shadow emotes. Thanks to Jill, indeed. Like, she's working super hard. Let's just take Fire and Ice. Not like in a bad spot if Rhinos resolve. Yeah, thank you so much for the gifted sub there. Very much appreciate it. Can I make an emote for you free of charge? Absolutely. So with let's see if I can find the channel. They just like top deck and ice savages. With the I know it's on here somewhere. Rewards, emotes. Yeah, I do still have like one open slot that I can throw something on there. I've got like 4 open slots, but one for just like anybody that's subscribed regardless of tier. All right, I think I'm going to get down a shadow here. I'm already relying on force negation if they cast something, so not really a lot hurt to just getting down a shadow here. Now, do I want to ditch the Murktide, or do I want to ditch the Drown? Their hand is Mystical Dispute, Force Negation, Otawara. Yeah. We'll ditch the Murktide because Otawara. Hey. That's a pretty decent one. Opponent didn't go for the bait. Here's another shadow. So this is an interesting spot where Bloodbraid Elf was running a Hallowed Fountain to be able to help with like engineered explosives. And that could end up being like a pretty free splash to make. Icon, Drown, didn't see their hit. Yeah, if they didn't have the Otawara, I'd probably pitch the Drown. But because they had the Otawara, I think it's like kind of free to just go ahead and ditch the Murktide. Now, do we think they're going to fetch an Otawaras into turn? Are they actually? Deal. All day, every day, no problem. Cat Williams fans out there. See, props to OP for not using Otawara before combat to play around EE for 0. I mean, that's fair, but like, probably not playing around EE for 0 too well regardless. Hey, there's our Otawara. So let's play you. Play a Shadow. Sego. Without nuking their hand, of course. The deck is unfortunately a lot of good answers against the Murktide. Oh, their deck, yeah. Especially the Temur version with like 4 Fire and Ice, some number of Brazen Borrowers, the Dead and Gones, like, and then the 4 and 5 color versions having Leyline Binding as well to Fairy, like all that stuff. It's enough to make your skin crawl. Lost correctly with the fetch. I mean, I'll always applaud an opponent that's like willing to go out on their own terms. I appreciate that. Opponents at 3, no cards in hand, draw a fetch land, fetch shock, end it, move on. Like you will garner my respect with lines like that. You will not garner a concession from me, but you will garner respect. Oh, Melicard. We played them in the challenge. So I think I saw the deck they're playing on Twitter. And if that's the case, this is going to be like a... Never mind, they're back on Hammer. Okay. Still not great, but better than what it could have been. Do you also have the Hammer? TBD. Fair. So I could fetch shock, cycle Wraith, go to 12, double Shadow. That doesn't seem particularly good for the home team. No land. Interesting. Interesting. Some might even go as far as saying interesting. Flash in a Paradise Mantle. Love it. Strap up that bird. Didn't even think of that. That's a 5,000 IQ player right there. Strap up a hammer onto that ornithopter. Okay. All right. So if I get fetch, shock, fetch, I'm going down to 12. Seems okay. Fetch, shock, fetch, shock, fetch. Grab an island. And we're going to attempt to yoink this ornithopter. You may draw a card. Blacksmith skill. We would like to force of will. Force of negation. Sorry. Yoink. Do we steal? Does a bear shit in the woods? Probably not the best comparison. But yes, we steal. Cauldra complete. Unfortunate if somebody were to yoink that too. All right. Go to 10. We play a shadow land. No hammer off the top. No hammer off the top one time. That's a land. We take that. And I believe we are pinging ourselves here. Seems like a reasonable draw. What do y'all think? So let's attack with both, and if they don't block both, we get to dismember something, and shadow is lethal. Opponent chooses not to heed our warning. I would, in fact, like to pay one to prevent this. Ah, got him. In the words of our third grade umpire at baseball, hey! So we got some EEs. We got some Infernal Grasps, Hercules Recalls, Spreading Seas, maybe Turok. Depends on what we're boarding out. Street Wraiths are a little bit on the sketchy side. Stubs aren't fantastic. I just don't bring in those. I just board out all the Wraiths. Gotta rely on Murktide a little bit more. Drown's just like so good. Spreading seas. Your umpire sounds like they're trying to pass a kidney stone. So one of the things you learn very quickly about playing baseball in the South is you have some animated umpires. Like when you see YouTube videos of umpires dancing around and going crazy, it's probably from around here. Hands a little meh. It's better. It's not great, but Freed tagging you this one. Got the 5-0, 10-0 with Red Black Shadow. Hell yeah. Congrats. Go to Wara. Save a life on this dismember if we have to use it here. Stoneforge Mystic. Colossus Hammer. My mic's cutting out a bit. Oh no. Oh no. How about now? Words and sentences and the way I feel. Might have been that I was just like leaning all the way over here and kind of halfway mumbling and you know. Well, land would have been better. He also might just have a Cauldron here and we die to it, so. Another hammer, sure. I'll take things that feel like a pure steel paladin for 400, Alex. Alright. Fetch land. So close. Fetch land. G Hash coming in with the raid. Thank you so much. Hope you had an awesome stream. Welcome, everybody. If you're just coming over here for the first time, hope you're having an awesome Tuesday so far. Septi, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday as well. For everybody hopping over, my name's Michael or Control Freak on Magic Online. Play a lot of Modern, especially a lot of Death Shadow. We just finished up a 4-1 league, lost our trophy match with Jun Traverse Shadow. And now we're playing through with Dimir Murktide, currently 2-0, beat a couple Rhinos decks. Up a game right now on Hammertime, so we'll see how this ends up playing out. Opponent's got like the most telegraphed pure steel paladin in the history of Magic, but not a whole lot we can do about it. All right, so we are very much dead to the second paladin. That's okay. We get to go to game 3 on the play. But yeah, for everybody hopping over, if it's your first time in the stream, feel free to hop into chat. Tell us about yourself. What got you into Magic? Why Death Shadow is the best archetype in all of Modern. But if you want to hang out and lurk, that is A-okay as well. Did they telegraph double pure steel? Probably. I mean, if we're going off the fact that they just like didn't make a construct there, then I would assume that's pretty telegraphed to second pure steel. But it's not like perfect assessment. Sentinel into Sentinel. Respect the cat always lurking. I mean, I respect the lurkers and cats. Probably more so the lurkers, but you know. As much as I want to get down Shadow here, that's a bunch of Urza Sagas. I didn't say a whole mess of sagas. Lurking's overrated. Way more fun shitting on the streamer. Now you're catching on. Guess we're just playing a Shadow saying go. Try to find another land here. Ornithopter. So their hand is Urza Saga, Unknown. I would love to play one. Pay one to prevent that. No, I don't think I will. They're gonna blacksmith skill their saga. Nice. Nice. Honestly, not the worst thing. We get a saga out of the way. They miss an activation on it. Or we get a blacksmith skill out of the way. And they miss an activation on the saga. So, not the worst worst way to go about that. Go and get a hammer. So now the question becomes, did you find a pure steel paladin as your blind draw? If I think that's the case, I could Spreading Seas in one of these planes. Well, I'm not. I guess I'm pretty dead to a paladin. Yeah. Get an attack in. Stoneforge is fine. Stoneforge for a Nettle Cyst. All right. So we could Infernal Grasp first to grow the Murktide. Nettle Cyst gets Construct to a 5/5. Murktide's coming down as a 6/6. So I'm not afraid of that. I could opt to try to get a bigger, or could get a bigger Murktide. So I think I'm kind of interested in opting here. How much does Nettle Cyst to equip? 2. So if they play Nettle Cyst, if they find a land, Stoneforge in Nettle Cyst, and equip it to something. Stoneforge, Nettle Cyst. Equip it to Esper Sentinel. Attack with Sentinel Construct. I can block the Sentinel so I'm not dead, but then Infernal Grasp is dead. So I think I'm playing the Murktide and passing here. Like, I think I just have to play to the idea that if either Nettle Cyst or the Construct hit me, I'm dead. Just kind of go from there. All right, so I would like to find Dismember's not bad. See, Walked Airplane. When Pure Steel Paladin was only really played in old Cheerios, I never would have believed you telling me it would be a critical card in the top tier modern deck in 2022. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Like, I always thought that card was just such a janky, like, combo enabler. Yeah, attack with Murktide, or attack with Shadow, so that Murktide can block an Ornithopter that's strapped up, and I don't have to use a removal spell on it. How the changes have timed. Funny enough, I was gonna say we could answer a what's it called? A Cauldra as well with Dismember. Are you going to take 8? that's the case, we say okay. Pass the turn. How the minefields have been wandered in. Second copy of Esper Sentinel. Sure. Annoying. Sure. Not life threatening or game ending. Equip to the Stone Forge. So am I just killing the Stone Forge right here? I believe that I am. A full retail. Pay to prevent. Kill you. Planes. Okay. Counter spell. Again, crack with shadows so that we can hold back on this. I wonder if I was supposed to Infernal Grasp the Ornithopter right there. No. I don't think I was. Says there is fine. Springleaf Drum is fine. All right, and this is like the opening we've been kind of looking for. So Murktide blocks here. We Infernal Grasp the token. The Esper Sentinel for 8. We don't pay for. The Esper Sentinel for 1. We do pay for. Yes. We get 2 guys off the board. Shadow's now a lethal threat on its own. Doing that, right? Infernal Grasp one of these, pay the 1, attack with both. Yeah. Infernal Grasp you. Pay the 1. Yep. Take 8. Go. And you beat my counter spell. Revenge from the challenge. Revenge is a dish best served with counter spells. We do die to double ginger brute. You're right. I should have played around it. Realistically, I could have tapped or attacked with just the shadow and like counterspelled something, but so be it. Damn, did not think we could win that game. That's because you underestimate the shadows. The death shadows are amazing at all times. You do well to remember such. All right, on to match number 4. What do we got? Death Shadow is not a sacred cow. Hashtag you're wrong. Hashtag it is. Oh. Icon, thank you so much. Malicious Mac. Sacred Boon, Sacred Cow, Sacred Wolf. I don't know any of those magic cards. On the draw, we got some interaction. We need to hit land drops, but opponent's mulliganed. It's like on the draw with a Wraith. Moves angelically. Moves in Hindu. Oh no. No! Our nemesis. We knew our hot streak couldn't last. Land is a really good pickup there. So let's go for Thoughtseize. Take a Ragavan, say go. What sound does the Death Shadow make? An angelic moo, apparently. I mean, I'll take it. Have trust in Borrower. I do have some trust in Borrower. Not like some deep, absurd amount of trust, but does not give them Delirium. I am going to have to play out a, Bro, can you stop with the Ragavans, please? I don't know who hurt you. I don't know where the Ragavans touched you, but please stop drawing them. All right, so I think here I'm just going to throw out a 5/5 Murktide and hope it's good enough. Oh, yeah. Stupid pressure ramp card, Silver Monkey. Right. It's everything we don't want to have to deal with. I think their last card's a Scalding Tarn. Tried to keep up with their hand. But I could be off somewhere. Maybe I am off. All right. A Death Shadow off the top now. Do I want another land? I'm getting another land one way or the other. Petty Theft, the Murktide. Say go. I'm gonna need another shadow, or a shadow or another Murktide, like really, really quickly if I want to have a chance here. All right, may surveil. I'm going to fetch up an island, cycle a wraith, force of negation, your bolt. Go to my turn. All right. I need to get the game over with. If they get Delirium, I can steal the Channeler. If they don't get Delirium, I'm just playing the Brazen Borrower here. Ledger Shredder. Okay. Okay. Important to note, I cannot fetch up a basic island here. I have to fetch and shock. Give them a Ledger Shredder trigger. I've got instant sorcery creature land in my graveyard. Well, am I even attacking with both? Like, maybe I'm attacking with just the Murktide, but the problem is there's no guarantee that they block. And I hate lines that don't, like, involve some sort of a guaranteed outcome. Like, I'm assuming they don't block because there's no real reason to. So I could go, like, attack with Murktide, upkeep Archmage's Charm, steal the Ragavan. But I think the safer route is, like, just attack with Brazen Borrower. Am I playing Shadow? I think I'm just passing. I think I really don't want to give them this connive here. I think that I let them have this. They put a card on top. So maybe I'm just Archmage's Charm, steal the Channeler instead here. Even if the top card is a fetch land and they can't Murktide. Blocking would be 1 for 0 for them that does nothing but tap target creature and gain 5 life. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Like, this line looks okay. What about the line that just kills them? Is that an okay one? Okay. Post board, Murktide, Mystical Disputes are great. Stubborn Denial and Flusterstorm are great. Infernal Grasp is great. Curse is great. Some number of EE are fine. Poured out some Wraiths. Poured out Force. Dress Down's fine. I think I'd rather drown than a Wraith. Seems okay. Let's go to game 2. Stub, Counterspell. So this hand is fairly weak to a turn 1 Ragavan. But that's kind of like the name of the game with this deck. Do not Ragavan me. Thank you. Are we going to get the elusive Stubborn Denial on an unlicensed hearse? One lander? Yeah. Like one lander and it's an island. Push is a good pickup. I think I'm cycling Dress Down on their end step. I think I just want to like make sure I'm hitting land drops if possible. If they want to spend a counterspell on this, nice. Hitting land drops is exactly what I was interested in, so mission accomplished. I could have a 13/13 shadow there until the end step. Main phase consider. You got it. Oh boy. Murktide. We don't need them. We're doing just fine without Murktides. Haha. All right. Who's going to make the first move? Apparently nobody. So I can fetch and shock twice down to 10. Doesn't feel like it does a whole lot for me. So here we go. Okay. Good. They get to go to discard now. Never mind. Let's fight. I don't want to discard the hand size. You don't want to discard the hand size. Mystical Dispute. I guess I could have paid there. I should have. I guess I'm just going to let them have this. Probably should have paid just like free card out of hand for them. Or for me. But I kind of forgot that I wouldn't be able to pay there. Around land Murktide. I don't care about land Murktide when I got the Brazen Borrower. That's why you didn't pay EDOT bounce. I mean, I just go to my main phase and bounce. Here is a Flusterstorm. Let me resolve my Murktide Regent in peace, please. Some of these Murktide lists I've seen recently have dropped down to like 2 Murktides, which I think is absolutely insane. The blue-red lists, I mean, not our janky blue-black list. So best case would be Ledger Shredder plus, I guess, Also have a spell pierce. Alright, so we can bounce the Murktide. Fortunately, they can just recast it. Straight back is an 8/8 That's a little rough. Where are all the Ragavans and Dragon's Rage Channelers and Ledger Shredders and all that stuff? There's that portion of the deck. All right. Infernal Grasp off the top. One time. Infernal Grasp. Stuff out in Modern, yes or no? I mean, my answer to that and everybody else's answer to that is probably going to differ pretty greatly. Got the Bolt. Not quite. Okay. Let's keep in all the thought seizes if that's the case. They're just like boarding out every relevant little dude and going on a full Murktide plan. I really don't have like a great counter to that outside of like counter spell, but you've got so much stuff that you just have to counter. You get hands like this. So on the play, we mulligan, opponent keeps. Not a good start for us. Channeler, try to stave off some of the early pressure. Counterspell's a good pickup. I'd assume that they're in a spot where they just want to hit land drops. All right, Misty is fine. I think I do have to fight over expressive iteration. They're just not going to put it on the stack. And there's not really a reason to if they've got the or if they're hitting the lands. But I do think I need to fight over it as like a 2-for-1. Okay. Let's go for Counterspell. Save the Mystical Dispute. Am I going for a Mystical Dispute on this? No. Okay. Land drop is fine. Fortunately, them hitting their land drops, and we know that they've got a threat in hand is pretty rough. Okay. We have found a 2-for-1. Good start. You just immediately have another Murktide. Oh. Yeah, this is just a story of like no pressure whatsoever. No hearse. Dead to the bolt. Man. Murktide is just my public enemy number one. Like it seems every game I play against Murktide that I lose, just nothing lines up right. Like I've got counter spells for days and I just cannot find land drops. Or I've got fatal pushes and dismembers for days and my opponent never plays a Ragavan, a Dragon's Rage Chandler, or a Ledger Shredder. It's just all Murktides. Or what was the game we lost on Jund where I had like all the threats and they just had Unholy Heat, Unholy Heat, Unholy Heat. Like, I don't know what it is about that matchup. It's just never, it never feels like my opponent and I are on the same page there. Oh boy. Got back to back Murktide. Murktide players are sacks. Well, I mean, like, they have the ability to play a decent control game if it goes long because they get expressive iteration and considers and everything. And we just can't fight on that same axis. But it just seems like it doesn't matter how many cards I load into my deck to fight that matchup. It just never feels like it's enough or the right cards. Dovin's veto. I bet all those losses can be tied down to iteration. I mean, a decent portion of them can. Not all of them, but some non-zero amount. All right, we're just going to go to game 2 here. Blue-white control with us having multiple fatal pushes in hand and missing land drops is not going to do it. Don't mind spreading seas as like an answer to man lands. Murktide's pretty easy for them to deal with, like Solitude and stuff. Dovin's veto, eh? Wonder kind of what kind of meta you have to expect where main deck Dovin's veto becomes a consideration. What point are you just like, I need Dovin's vetoes over Counterspell in the main deck? I mean, I guess if your goal is like fight over Force of Negation all the time against the Cascade decks, and maybe it's all right, but seems kind of meh. All right. Bad mana leaks, go. When I say bad mana leak, I just mean that, like, if I can use this to counter some non-blue spell, then I'm probably going to take that opportunity. Just 3 mana counter unless they pay 3. I But he's played Teferi when you have 3 untapped blue mana. Probably because he doesn't have anything else to cast right there. So it's kind of like either cast the Teferi or cast nothing. Will Hall, what's up? Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday. That was probably the slowest tap Supreme Verdict I think I've ever seen. one, 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 one verdict. I don't know what matchups my opponent has been running into to want Dovin's veto and temporary lockdown. I'm guessing this is like all for Rhinos. I have to just take the verdict. Like, everything else I can come up with some sort of a way to beat, but verdict is just gonna like single-handedly wreck my world. Like, I can see a spot where maybe I find a Murktide and I'm able to get down Murktide, counterspell, solitude, maybe mystical dispute, bad mystical dispute, the Veil of Summer or something, but yeah, I've got mana up. Kind of like this. Maybe there's a chance if they just go for like hard cast solitude. That's all I need. Don't overthink it, OP. Just hard cast solitude, go. Oh my god, is it actually working? What did I tell you? There's a line somewhere where we get to beat this hand. An opponent gave it to us. Unless their last unknown card is another Solitude. Ugh. Solitude, Temporary Lockdown, Veil of Summer. Oh, man. Solitude, Temporary Lockdown, Veil of Summer. Does dodge Temporary Lockdown. Something I never thought I'd say in my Magic career. Oh, that dodges Temporary Lockdown. That makes it playable here. We're just going to get the same thing. They don't always have Solitudes. They don't play 80 cards. I would beg to differ. I think my blue-white control opponents have Solitude like every single match I play against them. Or Veil of Summer. It feels like they just must play a dozen Veil of Summers. But I have to go ahead and get it out of hand now. Yep. We're all shocked. What's he playing? He's just playing blue-white control. But he's splashing a bunch of triomes, probably for Leyline Binding and Prismatic Ending. Stuff like that. So, nothing too crazy. But it's kind of funny that even like blue-white control has basically become a pile deck. Yeah, so for a while, they were splashing like red for Fire and Ice and stuff like that. That kind of went away, and now they're just splashing for like Veil of Summers and stuff. Yeah, we'll take a Solitude. Yeah, Leyline Binding. Anything that benefits from extra basic land types. All right, what you got? Those people deserve to get Sundering Titan. Is that something that's happening to people nowadays? Cure to hand, sure. Seems like Wizards wants to push 4 and 5 color decks. So 99 times out of 100, Wizards has no interest in what's going on in non-standard or non-limited sets. So it's like they never want to push anything. It's that they want to make like an archetype cool and limited and get people to buy sealed. And it turns out to be a really good card in Eternal formats. Like, they might test a little bit and say, oh, Leyline Binding's pretty good in these Eternal formats, but for the most part, they don't care. It's not important. Steven, what's up? How's the stream going? This is the second league. The first league we ended up at 4-1. We lost our trophy match. Second league right now, we're 3-1, fighting for the 4-1. Against an opponent that's playing like every wrath effect known to man. It's kind of funny. I guess Flusterstorm's not looking too great right here. Okay. Here is a copy of Death Shadow on the stack. What was the trophy match against? Murktide. What was our one loss in this league? Murktide. Like, I cannot begin to explain how cursed that matchup is for me. This is a Teferi Time Reveler. So let's drown in the lock. Fairy gone. They've played Igonjo. They've played Mystic Gate. Another Teferi Time Reveler. We will attempt to Mystical Dispute. On my upkeep, I'll fetch and shock the Watery Grave because I do not want to draw into it. Murktide's not bad. Save that in case we need to do something after Supreme Verdict. That could just be like a one turn, find an answer or die kind of card. They added Kahira to hand, so we know Subtlety and Kahira. Narset, Parter of Veils. I think I'm going to try to get some value out of this Force of Negation. Leyline Binding into a Kahira Subtlety Unknown. So if I Stubborn Denial this, it might turn Kahira into a chump blocker. So yeah, let's stub this. Dovin's Veto or something. Counterspell. Okay. So their hand is Kahira Subtlety. So we should be able to just play out Murktide here, hold up Counterspell. And as long as our opponent does not top deck the card Supreme Verdict, then we should be okay. Big bucks, no supreme verdict. Our Reach Sanitarium is not a supreme verdict. Player draws discards, sure. Discard a engineered explosives. They discard a Kahira. Subtlety unknown. We're going to choose to counterspell here in case their last card is Veil of Summer. We can untap and Drown in Lock to kill the subtlety. Ugh. 4-1-4-1. Okay. What do we think about Dimir? So, one of the big keys or differences between my list and Bloodbraid Elves that we talked about was like the early and often interaction, which really showed out against Hammertime, that league. His list was probably better against Murktide because he had like the Ledger Shredders and stuff. And I think we ended up playing Murktide with his list and ran him over. The 2 Rhinos matches that we played to start off the league, I think my list is better because I'm running like Stubborn Denial, Force of Negation, another stub, Flusterstorm stuff out of the sideboard. All those are fantastic against the Rhinos deck, as well as like Chalice of the Void, whatever. So I'll give myself the edge in the Rhinos matchup and the Hammertime matchup, and then I think his list is better against Murktide and like blue-white control and stuff like that. But just because it's more threat dense against blue-white control. But I do think our deck has a little bit of play here. Cards that I like and don't like. I'm still on the fence about like this Dress Down in the main. The Brazen Borrower looked good. The Dismember was okay. But Dress Down, I think, like had the most bad matchups. But it could just be necessary for like Urza Saga. Out of the sideboard, Spreading Seas was okay. We did see it's not the greatest against Hammer Time, but it's great against like other Saga matchups. But I guess Hammer Time is like the most prevalent one. Infernal Grasp looked really good. Didn't see Hearse. Mystical Dispute looked good. Didn't see Hercule's Recall against Hammer. But I don't know. I think this list is fairly solid if you're wanting to play Dimir. It just depends on your playstyle. If you're wanting to be more of like tap out control, playing threats really early and often, then I would look at Bloodbraid Elf's list. If you're wanting to be like a control deck that has this kind of old school Shadow combo finish of get to turn 5, 6, 7, drop a threat, protect it with a counterspell, untap, attack, and kill, then this could be a good option for you. Just depends on what sort of steps you're wanting to take there.